Just because you like something does not mean it's yours. So when I see hashtag not my Ariel, it's important to recognize, unless you are a personal illustrator on these projects, an animator, the author, or just an artist personally involved with this piece, Ariel was never yours to begin with. She's a gift from creative minds, and those minds decide to say today, you've had this gift for 40 years, and it's time to share.
Pretty girl, everywhere. I see pretty girl, all across the world. I see pretty girl, everywhere I go.
Hi everybody, my name is Bree Hall, aka Hara, and for those of you who follow me, you know I've been drawing since I was 2 years old. I'm a self-taught artist with a degree in animation and all that good stuff. And today I'm going to be drawing Halle Bailey as Ariel from The Little Mermaid. Recently announced that she's going to be playing Ariel in the live action film for The Little Mermaid, and I couldn't be more excited. So I'm going to start drawing. I'm going to speed up and time-lapse everything. So to get started, I think I'll talk a little bit more about my experience growing up, just with childhood stuff and Disney and all that good stuff. I remember the first time that I really started to see, I guess, representation at all. Even drawing at a young age, I remember just having such a hard time finding comic or anime, etc. that really represented Black people in general, or our hair or anything like that. My first thing that I really started practicing with drawing was the Boondocks, because at that time that was the only thing really available to me as a kid that I could find with Black representation. So my grandmother, my mom, and me growing up as Black women, my grandma is Jamaican and my mom as well, we all grew up not seeing a Black princess. The first Black princess didn't come around until 2009. So that's 40 years of watching Disney catalogs and countless millions of Black girls never seeing themselves as princesses. The first most important thing to note is that Ariel is actually a fictional character. And throughout history, there have been so many instances where other minorities have been played who are real life people by white people. Throughout the years of film, you know, a fictional character could be anything. Let's talk about some of the rebuttals around this even being a thing, right? I guess the first rebuttal would be that Ariel is Danish. Danish meaning from Denmark. And I'm just sitting here like, you do realize that there are Black people in Denmark. Though it is a minority, there are Black people in Denmark. And in fact, Black people, if you didn't know this, exist all over the world. But even circling back to that, Ariel is also a fish, a methodical fish. There's also that. And also another rebuttal I've heard is that Ariel's hair is red. I think it's still not commonly known that Black people can also genetically be born with red hair. One example would actually be my uncle. He's Jamaican and he was born with bright red hair and red freckles. Also, Black people can be born with genetically blonde hair. If you want to fact check that, make sure you search the Malaysians of the Solomon Islands. And genetically natural blue eyes. There's actually a YouTuber on YouTube right now who has genetically blue eyes that she was born with. Another thing I also thought was pretty crazy is that there's actually a Facebook group that was formed called Christians Against the Little Mermaid. And I just think it's kind of ironic that they're awfully quiet about the photos of Jesus being cast incorrectly.
The hairs of his head were white like white wool, like snow. His eyes were like a flame of fire. His feet were like burnished bronze refined in a furnace, and his voice was like the roar of many waters.
Well, that's none of my business. That's none of my business. A big part of privilege that I've noticed from reading a lot of literature is privilege is just experiencing a small fraction of what the marginalized group experiences and finding it absolutely unbearable. It is the worst thing that's ever happened to you in your life. You just can't think about anything else. Yet what you're experiencing is literally a mere small fraction of what these marginalized groups experience on a daily basis. A perfect example, for those of y'all who have followed me for a long time, you know that I'm really into humanitarian work, and one of the many jobs that I've had since I was 16, I was a volunteer teaching aide for children ages of like 4 to 6 range. And as a school teacher, I used to see that this is kind of like the mindset that I'm seeing here with the Ariel thing. If you've ever seen a child that's not used to sharing, they would have the time of their life with a toy, not acknowledging that a child is actually waiting to play and has been waiting for a really long time, right? And the moment their teacher takes the toy and asks them to share, they throw a raging tantrum, and it's just so unfair. They're taking my toy. And meanwhile, there's the lack of empathy that the kid that's been waiting all this time literally has been experiencing not having a toy for an hour, and you've only experienced it for 5 minutes. And I think that's a big part of privilege. Rather than having empathy and saying, wow, I experienced a small fraction of what this group experiences and it doesn't feel too good, they're starting Facebook groups and petitions and GoFundMes and buying tiki torches. I think one of the most important things to note when we talk about these kids and the toy analogy that I made from being a teacher is the fact that the kid that has a toy usually tends to have blinders up. They don't stop to have empathy and awareness. So when that social consciousness isn't there and the kid is asked about how playtime was, it's really ironic because that same kid will be like, playtime was great. So-and-so was lying. I don't know what they're talking about there being a lack of toys. There was plenty toys there. I think the discomfort comes from the fact that for children growing up white, being represented was never a question. It was the toy. It was never something that didn't come naturally. You know what I mean? Even if it was a character or a film about a place or group of people that wasn't you, you knew that you would see you integrated there somewhere. You would always be able to find yourself in that toy aisle with the Barbies. You would always be able to see yourself on the news stations. You can flip 3 channels and see yourself somewhere. Representation for a lot of kids was a guarantee. And for myself and a lot of my friends and my family and minorities around the country and world, representation has never been a guarantee. And that's not even with fictional characters, that's with people that are actually us, real life people. I also laugh a lot when people reference the whole if it was the other way around. There's a sense of objectiveness and denial when it comes to basically the issues of marginalized groups. The fact of the matter is almost all of the time it is the other way around. And I understand there's a lot of people that are like, but they have Tiana, so why can't we have this? Well, step back and really ask yourself, what do you have when it comes to mainstream media? And after we cover that 400 years, then we can talk about this a little bit more. The term for that actually, when you reference Tiana and saying they can play Tiana but not this, not our Ariel, is tokenism. You think that because there is one black person that it's somehow equal. Entitlement comes in the forms of feeling ownership over something that you do not own. Just like with the kids and the toy example, they feel like it is their toy when in actuality it was the teacher's toy that they brought in because they thought it would be great for the class to see. Just because you like something does not mean it's yours. So when I see hashtag not my Ariel, it's important to recognize, unless you are a personal illustrator on these projects, an animator, the author, or just an artist personally involved with this piece, Ariel was never yours to begin with. She's a gift from creative minds, and those minds decide to say today, you've had this gift for 40 years and it's time to share. So please don't throw a tantrum like the little kid who had the toy taken to give to the kid that hasn't played with the toy. And at the end of the day, again, Ariel's a fictional character, and to the casting directors of the live action film, from the little girl who was searching for herself in all the stores and in all the movies, and to that little girl's mother and that little girl's grandmother and great-grandmother before her, and on and on and on, thank you for sharing Ariel with us. Thank you for sharing. And to Halle Bailey, congratulations on your role announcement. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited to go support. And yeah, I'm just thrilled in general. All right, y'all, love you. And comment below who you want to see me draw next.
I need a little bit of trust from you. Or we can let the guns blow.